Hey guys, so we've had a heap of people message us about a video from Watch Mojo. Their channel has almost 11 million subscribers and they've made a video called Top 5 Facts About Veganism.
So you know exactly what kind of video you're in for when it starts with, put down that juicy steak and listen up. Ugh, shake my head.
Anyhow, these definitely aren't all facts. We don't have time to respond to each point, but some of their facts are nonsense. Others are intentionally stereotyping. They did get one point right, but the main thing we want to respond to is fact number 2.
A vegan diet may lead to an increased risk of heart disease. Not only is this an absolute lie, it's extremely misleading and dangerous. This video is putting people's lives at risk.
The presenter is actually talking about the risks of heart disease as they're showing fruit and vegetables. And then he does the whole, it's all too hard and confusing, we're gonna die of something, so I give up, give me a bacon milkshake. Yep, a milkshake topped with bacon pieces because vegetables are a risk to your heart.
Now, in a way, we're delighted that making videos about veganism seems to be the latest trend for large YouTube channels. Honestly, we can't keep up. They obviously know that it's a controversial topic, they'll get lots of views, create debate, and even have response videos made. So, thanks for helping us make veganism mainstream, we guess.
Having said that, this video is dangerous in that it's putting people's lives at risk by suggesting such a ridiculous idea that a vegan diet may lead to an increased risk of heart disease, when in fact the exact opposite is true. As literally a matter of life and death, we take this very seriously. So let's hear about what the experts have to say on this subject, and we'll start with Dr. Michael Greger of nutritionfacts.org. What a coincidence, we're going to hear about some real facts.
These are the top 15 causes of death, the top 15 reasons Americans die. And a plant-based diet can help prevent nearly all of them, can help treat more than half of them, and in some cases even reverse the progression of disease, including our top 3 killers. Heart disease, number 1. So consuming the amount of cholesterol found in just a single egg a day appears to cut a woman's life short as much as smoking 5 cigarettes a day for 15 years. The most protective behavior they found was fiber consumption. Eating just a cup of oatmeal's worth of fiber a day appears to extend a woman's life as much as 4 hours of jogging a week. So it's worth noting that, look, the intake of cholesterol, only found in animal foods, was associated with living a shorter life, and the intake of fiber, only found in plant foods, associated with living a longer life. Yeah, heart disease, number 1 cause of death, but what if your cholesterol is normal, right? Hear that all the time from patients, right? Have to break it to them, look, having a normal cholesterol in a society where it's normal to drop dead of a heart attack, not necessarily a good thing. And remember, it's our number 1 killer, right? In a huge study last year, most heart attack patients fell within the recommended targets for cholesterol, demonstrating that the current diet guidelines are just not low enough to cut heart attack risk. Close to half of heart attack victims had cholesterol levels classified in the guidelines as optimal, though I'm not sure their grieving spouses and orphan children will take much comfort in that fact. Yeah, having a below average cholesterol, reduces your risk, but as the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology wrote more than a decade ago, it's time to shift, right, from just decreasing risk to actually preventing and arresting atherosclerosis. We don't want low risk, we want no risk. How do you do it? Well, for the buildup of plaque in our arteries to cease, it appears that we have to get our total cholesterol down to be about 150, right? In other words, the cholesterol must be lowered to that of your average pure vegetarian. Now, but because relatively few people are willing to abide by the vegetarian lifestyle, drugs are required, to get down to similar levels, right? All right, now cholesterol is just half of the heart disease story. The other half is inflammation, right? We've known for 15 years that a single meal high in animal fat, sausage and egg McMuffin was used in the original study, can paralyze our arteries, right? Cutting their ability to relax normally in half within hours of eating animal products. The whole lining of our vascular tree gets inflamed and stiffened, right? And just as that inflammation, so here's hours, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just as that inflammation, right? Just as that crippling of our arteries starts to finally calm down after 5 or 6 hours, lunchtime, right? And then we may whack our arteries with another load of meat, eggs, or dairy, right? And so most people are in this chronic state of low-grade inflammation, increasing risk for these inflammation-related diseases like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, one meal at a time. Those sticking to the vegetarian diet showed a reversal of their heart disease as expected. Their partially clogged arteries literally got cleaned out. They had 20% less atherosclerotic plaque in their arteries at the end of the year than at the beginning. What happened to those who abandoned the treatment diet and switched over to the low-carb diet? Their condition significantly worsened. 40 to 50% more artery clogging at the end of the year. Thanks to the kind generosity of Dr. Fleming, we can actually see the changes in blood flow for ourselves. Here are some representative heart scans. The yellow, and particularly red, represent blood flow through the coronary arteries to the heart muscle. This patient went on a plant-based diet, and coronary arteries opened right up, increasing blood flow. This person, however, started out with good flow, but after a year on a low-carb diet, significantly clogged down their arterial blood flow. This is the best science to date, demonstrating the threat of low-carb diets, not just measuring risk factors, but actual blood flow in people's hearts on different diets. Of course, the reason we care about cardiac blood flow is we don't want to die, and a meta-analysis was recently published that finally went ahead and measured the ultimate endpoint, death. And low-carb diets were associated with significantly higher risk of all-cause mortality, meaning low-carbers living a significantly shorter lifespan.
What they identified was that his left anterior descending coronary artery in the front of the heart, the entire lower third was moth-eaten and diseased, over too long a segment to have stents, too far down the artery to have a bypass. Joe, you've been eating this typical Western diet. You got the typical Western disease. We've got 10 years of data. How about going plant-based? Okay, yes, I'll give it a shot. They couldn't offer me anything else. Any chance I could see the follow-up angiogram? Yeah. So it was really quite striking and exciting to see what actually can happen when you give the body every opportunity it can. The healing capacity is incredible.
It's just, you know, meat is so tasty. And that might sound short and shallow of us, but so be it. You know, I like to eat steak sometimes.
I know, I really like steak.
Ah, Shay, the old meat tastes good argument. Look, we understand what you're saying because